Welcome to Reflecting Light. This podcast is about filling the world with light by exploring myth, ancient texts, scripture, great works of world literature, and the works of artists, past and present, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. And now, here is your host, Mandy Green.
Hello and Happy New Year from Reflecting Light. I'm your host, Mandy Green. And I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad we made it into 2022. Whoever thought we would? I mean, I've been trying to work on a Christmas card. I don't think I sent them out in 2020 or 2021. And all I've got is the Human Fund from George Costanza. Because I feel like life has just handed us a giant quote, "A donation has been made in your name to the Human Fund," unquote, close quote. The compliments of George Costanza, which is a fake charity because he just doesn't want to give anyone Christmas presents. I love giving Christmas presents, but I feel like the universe has handed us a giant check for the Human Fund. And we've got to figure out what to do with it. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for staying in the game. I'm proud of you for trying to figure it out. And I think it's really forced us to get out of our comfort zones. It's really forced us to not keep things in the box. We've had to blow up the boxes, which I actually love. I love that so many boxes are getting blown up. And our ideas of what things should or could, well, I should say should look like, is really becoming a thing of the past. And I hope we're becoming more impressionable and more malleable about what's possible. And maybe it doesn't always have to look a certain way or be for a certain amount of time or follow certain formats. It can just be what it is. And so today's podcast is called Be Still. Now, I know for New Year's, there's always this idea of becoming better, improving, my goals. I'm going to lay out my intentions. I haven't picked my word for this year, and I can't remember what it was last year. I don't even know if I had a word last year. But my thought is this, that so many times it's what we're going to do. It's all of these things we'd like to do. The perpetual, I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to control my temper. Honestly, my friends, I truly feel love for you. And I want you to know that I feel impressions about what I should share and when I should share it or how I should share it. Maybe not every episode's for everyone, and that's just fine. I felt really impressed to share this particular thought at the beginning of the new year. And it comes from Psalms 46, verse 10. Be still and know that I am Elohim. I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted in the earth. Yahweh of the Tsabaot, the Lord of hosts, is with us and is our refuge. Now, I wanted to break this down just a little bit because, of course, the Hebrew is going to offer us a much better vision of what David is thinking of. We know that the Psalms were temple texts, more than likely, and they're just really mixed up in order. If you'd love to read more about that, I recommend Who Shall Ascend the Hill of the Lord by LeGrand Baker and Stephen Ricks, both just extraordinary men. I'll put a link to it in the show notes if you want to explore that. But the truth is this, we're looking at a temple text, and we're looking at a Psalm of David. And David, I believe, knows what he's talking about. Now, if we look at this word in Hebrew, which is Rapha, and by the way, there's a new Hebrew class starting January 24th. All of the learning's online. If you want to take any of my Hebrew classes, I teach the beginning and intermediate 1 class. And then you have the sublime privilege of having Carly Anderson, who has a PhD in Biblical Hebrew, take you from that point on. A new class will start January 24th. You can find the class at projectillumination.thinkific.com. I'll put it in the show notes. And there's lots of great classes up there by myself, by Jared Rubalcaba about Egypt, or Carly is starting also a new series about women in the Bible. And those should be really tremendous. So just as a side note, if you want to learn more about Hebrew, if you feel like this is your year, certainly that is offered. And if you'd like to go through with the class, that class would begin January 24th. As always, you can sign up at any time, take it at any point. All right, back to our be still. It's actually the word rafa, which means to sink down or to drop, but really it means to, in the PL form, which God always speaks in the PL form, which means that it's a verb with exclamation marks. It literally means to let go, to loosen up and let drop. Think about that. To just let things go, to abandon them, to forsake them, not in a horrible way, but to really let it go. In one of the verb forms, hitpael, it really means to cut yourself some slack. And it comes from another similar root, which means to heal. Isn't that beautiful? So it gets translated to be still and know that I'm the Elohim, plural. You have both a mother and a loving father that are always aware of you. As a parent, I know that is true. I am always aware of my kids, no matter where they are. If they're across the world from me, I feel that absence keenly. And so this idea to let go, to show yourself some slack, to refrain, to forsake, to abandon, to let drop, to relax. All of these are beautiful. And this is my New Year's invitation, my beautiful friends. Let go. Maybe this year, instead of that big list of everything you want to do, look at the one thing that you need to let go of. The hurt, the anger, the shame, the guilt, the lack of confidence, the playing small, the sadness, the darkness. Whatever it is, I would ask you to be mindful and prayerful about it and let go and know that God is with you. If we continue on in that verse, it's interesting. It says, I will be exalted among the nations and I will be exalted in the earth. Yahweh of hosts. Now we're talking about a different person here, I believe, in verse 11. The Lord of hosts is with us and is our refuge. Now this word in Hebrew is misgav, and it means something that is unassailable. It's a lofty stronghold. It's a refuge. It's a place of security. It's this place that doesn't fall, and it's high up, which to me means something. That their thoughts are not our thoughts and their ways are not our ways. And sometimes we need to let go perhaps of our own way, our own thoughts about how something should be, how something should have transpired, how something perhaps should have worked out, or somebody shouldn't have said that, or shouldn't have offended someone, or should have apologized. Do you see how should is this crazily toxic word for us? It's just this lack of contentment with what is. And so as we let go and know that there is the Elohim, in addition to this stronghold, this place of refuge, security, this unassailable height in the Lord of hosts, then perhaps we can learn something from the stillness. Perhaps we can learn something from just letting go. I feel like the Western world particularly tends to go at this very rapid spinning top pattern, and we just get really, really wound up in knots. And it's important that we, stop. And that's where I love the English translation, actually, to be still. Stillness is really, really important. And then perhaps we can think about and come to know what it is we should let go of. Tony Schwartz said, "Let go of certainty. The opposite isn't uncertainty. It's openness, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace paradox rather than choose up sides. The ultimate challenge is to accept ourselves exactly as we are, but never stop trying to learn and grow." I love this particular sentiment because I found that the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything at all. But secondly, that there exists a lot of paradox. And there are a lot of things in our life that we feel just shouldn't be a paradox. We want it clear cut. We want these lines. We want black and white. And the truth is that their ways are not our ways, and that we will come up against paradox, profound spiritual paradox. And rather than choose sides, be curious, not judgmental, as the great Ted Lasso says. Alan Watts also said this, and I hope I'm pronouncing this at all right. I tried to look up the tones. In the Chinese metaphysical tradition that is termed Hu Xin, or idealness, signifying a state of consciousness in which one simply accepts experiences as they come without interfering with them on the one hand, or identifying oneself with them on the other. One does not judge them, form theories about them, try to control them, or attempt to change their nature in any way. One lets them be free or be just exactly what they are. The perfect man, said Chuang Tzu, employs his mind as a mirror. It grasps nothing, it refuses nothing, it receives but does not keep. Now, I know that in the scriptures we're told to lay hold onto certain good things, but I think there's a difference between going after something, seeking something, and having a gosh dang stranglehold on it and refusing to ever let it go, and to have it always imprisoned in our hearts and our souls and in debt and anger and all of that horribly, deliciously, wickedly, we think satisfying way. But ultimately, I think one of the real talents, one of the true marks of discipleship is an ability to let go. If you think about the Savior in his final weeks and moments, he was willing to let it all go, all of it. He had to let it go so that he could go to greater heights and bring to pass greater righteousness. So that's my thought. Our song for the week is by The Killers. I know it's another Killer song, but what can I say? They're just an amazing band. And the song is called Be Still. And I invite you to listen. I'll put a link in the show notes. Now, again, we've got the playlist on our Spotify podcast list. It's called Reflecting Light Podcast. And we also have it on iTunes, Reflecting Light Podcast. Here's Be Still by The Killers. Be still and go on to bed. Nobody knows what lies ahead. Life is short, to say the least. We're in the belly of the beast. Boy, if I could pick a perfect line about mortality, it's that one right there. We're in the belly of the beast. Be still. One day you'll leave fearlessness on your sleeve. And if they drag you through the mud, it doesn't change what's in your blood. When they knock you down, don't break character. Be still, be still. Over rock and chain, over sunset plain, over trap and snare. when you're in too deep, in your wildest dream, in your made-up scheme, when they knock you down. Don't break character. You've got so much heart. Is this real or just a dream? Oh, rise up like the sun and labor till the work is done. My friends, it's a new year. It's a new start. It's a new invitation to rise up like the sun. And the S-O-N is always reflected in the S-U-N. Rise up like the sun and be still and let go. And know that good things can come of that. C.S. Lewis said there's far more ahead of us than what's behind us. And so with hope and faith and a lot of guts and a lot of character, I invite you to look deeply into your soul. First of all, take a minute to be still and take some beautiful, quiet, moonlit, snow-filled, twinkling lights, whatever it is. Take a moment, be still, and ask what weight you're carrying that you can let go of. That's my New Year's wish for all of you. May your new year and your path be filled with love and light. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for Reflecting Light with Mandy Green. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave a good rating and share it with your friends. And remember, your light makes the world a brighter place. Share it.